staff town hall. We do these monthly where different team members from across different departments in the city come together to share updates that help us do our jobs, understand what each other are working on, and celebrate big wins. As with every meeting, we start off with our agenda, and throughout, we want to be interactive. So please do raise your hand or put a question in the chat. We do have time today to do that throughout our presentations, but we've also held some time at the end to be able to continue to ask questions. Like with every town hall, after we conclude, everything will be saved in the P drive, as well as an email going to you with the links to those pieces. So today we have an update from our city manager, Wyatt Shields, followed by a couple of items and our how-to for city employees. Then we have a big project update, and then a quick run through of our events hosted by the city, and then internal city updates and events as well. All right, and with that, I will hand off to our city manager, Wyatt Shields. Wyatt.
Well, thank you, Mary Catherine, and thanks for convening this employee town hall meeting. I hope it will be a useful approximately hour spent together where we talk about things that are happening in the city. And so I'm going to start off with our welcoming of new employees, and then I'm going to give folks just a quick update on the city budget process. Sent an email out this morning, and I'll note a few of the things I said in that email, and happy to take any questions on that. But first, we have the following outstanding people who have joined our team, and they include Christopher Seance, who's joining us as a police officer, Sharice Red, senior administrative assistant with our building safety division, Steve Alba, maintenance worker with DPW. Anna Shine is joining the city, coming back to the city as she's been an intern with the city, joining us as our CIP project manager. Savannah Smith, public safety aide. Welcome, Savannah. Tyree Harris joining as a police officer as well. Elijah Gormez, maintenance worker, joining with our DPW team. Pamela Long, emergency communications technician, working in our 911 dispatch center here at City Hall. Samantha Mounsey joining us as a recreation leader and rental supervisor, and Joaquin Valdivia, master control camera operator with our cable TV group. And so welcome to this group. It's a longer list because we didn't meet in March. We had the employee town hall meeting instead. And so we've got 2 months of welcomes here. And also want to celebrate Avery Murphy and her promotion as deputy treasurer. So congrats, Avery. So just a few things that I noted in my email this morning. The council is a little over halfway through its budget deliberations, and they've been working with staff. We've had some pretty long work sessions. We've been kind of consistently going up to midnight, which isn't great, but we're getting through it. And the highlight that I wanted to note, just have employees be aware of, is that in light of the data on local tax receipts, our finance team has revised up our revenue forecast, and that's due to meals taxes, sales taxes, and personal property taxes coming in higher, kind of at the upper end of projections and actually exceeding projections for FY26. And a lot of that really is reflective of our local businesses with all of their hard work and growing their customer base and providing excellent services that attract people to the city. And they spend their money here in the city and pay taxes in the city. So that's really the root of the revenue increase that we're experiencing right now. So 700,000 added to the budget. And the city council, I think early back in December, really wanted to have a tax rate reduction because they knew that assessed value on homes was growing. It's sort of the largest growth in the budget this year, or on the revenue picture, and the council wanted to provide some relief. And as I noted in the employee town hall meeting, the median homeowner's bill is going up $611 based on just market appreciation. So one of the council's priorities that they've articulated at the work session last night is to provide some form of tax rate reduction. There was some consensus on a 1/2 cent rate reduction, which would take 340,000 of that 700,000 sort of right off the bat. And so we would have a real estate tax rate of $1.18 as opposed to the current rate of $1.18 and and then the remaining dollars, the 300, I forget what my email said, 360,000 remaining, split that with the schools per the principles of revenue sharing that we've adhered to for the last 8 budgets. So that's where things stand. The council has signaled that they would their top priority is to focus on street paving and roadway maintenance, and so that 180,000 on the general government side, and they've signaled that that's where their priority would be to spend those dollars. We still have 2 more meetings, public town halls, and more work to go, but that's where we are right now, sort of the best way we can kind of hear the signals that the governing body is sending on the budget. Staff has been doing a lot of great work on the budget and really insightful and thorough presentations of our programs and the costs of services and some of the challenges we're facing as an organization. So a big thank you to the team for that. Mary Catherine, that's my update. Why don't we see if there are any questions, comments, or suggestions for us and with respect to the budget or anything else that might be on people's minds. And if I could also just take the opportunity to give a big thank you to the finance team, David So, Melissa Ryman, Rasul Alamarie, working really hard on the budget this year. I think they've responded to about 100 city council questions, and I know everyone contributes to answering those questions, so that's kind of a big effort as well. But I really appreciate the thoughtfulness and thoroughness of our finance team on throughout the year, but budget time in particular.
Thank you, and thank you, Wyatt. Do we have any questions from anyone on? All right. Thank you very much. We are going to keep moving and go into our second session of our town hall, our how-to for city employees. And first up, as part of this, we have Joshua Supernaut, our web manager. Joshua.
There was
Mary
a question.
Catherine, before we jump,
was?
yeah, there was a question. Thank you, Joshua. There was a question from Henry in the chat.
Sorry, I missed that. Why is this year the school has a larger increase comparing with the cities?
So in terms of, so the reason is that on the general government side, we have investment revenue and as well as fees for service, but investment revenue is outside of the revenue sharing agreement. And because of lower dropping interest rates, and we've used up our ARPA money and some other sort of special money that we've had in the past, our investment revenues decreased by about $1 million. And so that was one thing that we absorbed on the general government side. So while we split local taxes, the growth in local taxes 50-50, some of those special revenues like investment revenues dropped, and that's why the general government budget is growing at about 3.4%, and the school transfer is growing 4.1%. So that's the reason why, Henry.
Thank you for that question and for that answer. Do we have the ball rolling now and have more questions?
Mary Catherine, I have a question. It's Caitlin. I'm curious what another 1% in employee compensation would cost, and if that was discussed or considered at all as part of the increase in the 700,000.
David, do you have that number handy? I don't know if he's on the call.
Hey, Wyatt. Yep, I'm here.
So I believe an additional, I think we said 4% was about 1.1 million. So we round up to 1.2, it's about 300,000, let's say, for every 1% increase.
That answer your question, gentlemen.
Okay, but that wasn't discussed by council as another option to do with the increased revenue money.
No.
Yeah, that's I think the council's priority at this point has been on trying to provide some tax relief and I think that is reflected in the conversation last night.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that question. Do we have any other questions?
And just for just on compensation, what is in the proposed budget is the 4% merit increase for employees that would be effective July 1st. And so that is that has not been changed in the budget discussions. Thank you, Caitlin.
All right. I do not see any other hands raised. I do not see anything in the chat. Are we ready to move on? All
Well,
right.
I've also, on terms of employee compensation, I didn't tell the full story. So 4% for civilian employees and the market rate adjustment, which we discussed back in the employee town hall for uniformed police officers, that also is in the budget. And the council got a full briefing on that last night. There was a good discussion about it, and I think there's council support for that. I think really strong action to maintain competitiveness in light of changes to public safety salaries that are happening in the region. So I wanted to add that update as well. Thank you.
That is important context. Thank you for that. All right. We are going to move on to our next section. Thank you everyone for those questions. And I'm going to ask Joshua Supernaut to come join us and share about the new website launch.
Hey, everybody. So the milestone, right? So our new website launched on April 1st, bringing the City of Falls Church back into the modern digital age. But most importantly, you can see on the right side of the screen here that we're finally back into the world of websites that work on mobile devices. That was a big milestone for the city to get us back to that point. It's fantastic. Can't thank everyone enough for all the hard work. So if you haven't clicked around yet on the website, please take some time to explore it. Obviously, if you have any suggestions or feedback, let me know, let the team know. A lot of work has gone into this launch. Again, many hands have touched it. I did not do this alone, but obviously we're here and it's where we're going to take it next. So now that we've launched it, now that it's live, now that we've had a press release and done some social media fun videos and kind of enjoyed this moment, it's time to put a magnifying lens on the content itself, specifically our PDFs, our forms, and our vendor files. Our next steps are going to be to refine our content, and we want to ensure that everyone, including our own staff, can find exactly what they need. Mary Catherine, can you please go to the next slide? I'll go back to this if anyone has any questions, if they want to specifically talk about the graphics on the screen. Next slide, please. There we go. Thank you so much, Mary Catherine. All right, so as I've shared before, I'll continue to share. The city's digital presence is a living thing. We're going to evolve. We're going to ask everyone who edits the website, who interacts with the digital platforms, to remain flexible and curious. We want to remember that ADA accessibility isn't just a checkbox, it's an ongoing project, right? It creates a better intuitive experience for all users. So the path forward from launch to long-term compliance. Again, talking about PDFs, we need to make them, we all make them, but if they aren't fully accessible, they are basically digital barriers. We're creating barriers. So the Office of Communications, myself included, we're going to be scheduling departmental meetings. We're going to audit what's on the website. Of the 10,000-ish PDFs, we're going to be asking two key questions. Does it need to stay on the website as a PDF? And if it does need to stay on the website, does it have to be a PDF? Because essentially, if it stays on the website, it has to be remediated, right? That's time and money. So we do want to collaborate with you towards an HTML first approach, right? So whenever possible, we want to take whatever information is trapped inside a PDF that you have to click here to open, and we want to make that part of the dynamic web page. We want to make that web-based text, images, tables. That is easier to search. It's easier to translate. It's easier to make ADA compliant. It's easier to maintain. Less steps, better outcome, right? So we want to tell a better story with all of the data the city has for every single department. And that starts with Word, that starts with PowerPoint, that starts with PDFs, that starts with the story. So we are going to kind of go department by department, depending on if your PDF, your document, your information needs to be on the website, needs to be on social media, needs to be in a city council packet, and work with you to kind of figure out exactly what you need and what training would benefit you and your group. So yeah, a couple of things. I don't want to take up too much time. There's more to come, but just kind of an intro. We've had a huge shift here with the website. It is more accessible than it was. There is still a long way to go. But obviously the city's digital presence is open to everybody, right? So feedback, suggestions, thoughts, concerns. I'm just gonna throw Caitlin's name out there. Her and I had a meeting this morning about how to make certain pages better. So again, like schedule some time and let's talk about it. Anyway, that all said, I want to open the floor. Any high level questions about the website or any high level questions about what we're talking about? There's much more to come. This is kind of a get in front of everybody situation.
Thank you so much, Joshua. And can I just say, huge round of applause. I know that you did this with many others, but your leadership in this space has been invaluable to the city. So thank you so much. All right. Do we have any questions for Joshua regarding the website, the new launch, or what's coming up with our transition to be ADA compliant? All right, we have a question from Cindy. Joshua, website looks great. Can you comment on the organization of department, community, and business drop downs?
Yeah. So when I first came on, I knew navigation was an issue, the UX UI, the user interface and the user experience, essentially people getting to what they're looking for. And about 4 months ago, right at the end of last year, did an evaluation of the clicks and the hits and just saw where people kind of gut places. There was a tendency before many of us, to make links in multiple places to the same thing. That's not really best practice. You want to put one, maybe two links in the best place for a user to find it. Someone maybe not used to going to the website, right? There's a lot of people, including us, that go to the same buttons every day. But there are people that come to our website completely new. Maybe it's a resident, maybe it's a business, maybe it's a visitor. They got to figure out where they're going. So you've got to be intuitive of where you put stuff. So using data, seeing that they were clicking this link in this menu more than that link in that menu, but both links went to the same place, you start to remove these extra links. But it's not really done, right? So you remove an extra link, but you then watch that link and say, okay, well, maybe that isn't the best place to put it. Maybe it needs to be in a completely new spot. For example, police is under government. It was under department. I did meet with the police chief. Shout out police chief. And Chief Fard, and we talked about putting police under departments also. So we didn't structure the navigation of the website, maybe like the budget is structured for departments like library or police, but we did it more in an intuitive way. Government has city council, fire, volunteer fire department, police, sheriff, more service things. Department is more administrative things. So library, for instance, is under community. It was under department, but that was at a time when the city and the library were in the same website also. For several years, 4 years actually, when the library got a new website, there was still a link under departments for library, but really just went to a page that said, the library is no longer here. If you'd like to go to the library, click this. So again, that's 2 clicks. So at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is get people to what they're trying to in as few clicks as possible, using as much data as I can find, and then auditing that data, talking to the library, talking to the police chief, talking to people to say like, well, tell me what you think, and I'll tell you what the data shows, and then I'll tell you, what some best practices are, and then we just kind of merge all that in the middle. Is it the last place it'll end up? Absolutely not. This is a try it. This is a living thing. You try it, check in a couple of months, do some heat maps. Are people going there? Are people going there? And then you reevaluate. And I hope that answers the question. If it doesn't, let me know.
Thank you. It was helpful for me to know the background as to why library is under community versus department. So thank you for sharing for all and this traditional person who would do the old clicks.
Thank you so much for that question, Cindy. And I appreciate the answer, Joshua. I know that you've worked with not just police department, but other departments to understand that we're no longer in an age of duplicative navigation. All right. Do we have any other questions for Joshua? These are absolutely sort of questions that we are excited to answer. Right. Well, I don't see any further questions. Thank you so much. We're going to keep moving, but as Joshua mentioned, please
Thank you.
hit him up at any time with any questions, collaborations, etc. So thank you very much. All right, next up, we have another OCOM team member, Deputy Director Maggie Redden, who's going to talk about the Chronicle's new home. Maggie.
Yes, hi everyone. So as part of the city's commitment to ADA compliance, the Chronicle is now going to get a new home. So right now, as Joshua was saying, like we're doing all this auditing of the PDFs, and right now Chronicle is a PDF. So the May issue will be the first time that you will see Chronicle as a new live digital ADA compliant SharePoint. What you're looking at right now is actually what's going to be the Chronicle landing page, which will kind of have an overview of what Chronicle is. You'll have a direct link to the latest issue of the Chronicle, which will be May. There'll be a section for archive chronicles, because I know I've gotten several questions about where do the old Chronicle live. You'll see a direct link to give a colleague a star award. There'll be an events listing, and then there'll be some other features that are lower down on this page that you can't see right now, but that will be the Chronicle landing page. And then I am currently building the May issue of Chronicle as a SharePoint as well. And so along with meeting ADA digital compliance, this also moves our what is an internal employee newsletter into an internal platform. So it will be better security for our personal information. So this is just a sneak peek. There'll be more information to come. We are still building this out, and of course, we'll give everybody a heads up when this is about to launch in SharePoint. But yeah, look for the May Chronicle as a new SharePoint for the city.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Maggie. Who has any questions for Maggie about this? Oh, I see some hearts popping up. Thank you for that. Some hands clapping. All right. I don't see any questions at this time, but as with anyone at OCOM, if you have questions, come see us. And I'm sure Maggie's happy to talk through this. All right, moving right along, our last section of our how-to for city employees is open enrollment with Megan DeSalle from Human Resources. Megan.
Thank you so much, Mary Catherine. So everyone, open enrollment is coming. It'll be next month, very soon, May 1st through 15th. So that's 2 weeks that you'll be able to make changes to your health insurance plans and also re-enroll or enroll for the first time in your flexible spending accounts and the voluntary benefits through Pierce Insurance. So mark your calendars, make sure you make any changes to your benefits plans May 1st through 15th. And also a big event coming during that time on Tuesday, May 5th is our benefits fair. That'll be in City Hall in the Dogwood area in the lobby. So all of our benefits vendors are coming. Bring your questions. If you have you want any more details about the changes that might be coming this plan year, that's a great opportunity to talk firsthand to our benefits vendors. Also on Wednesday, May 6th, the Pierce benefits counselors will be on site at all of the locations across City Hall. They'll spend some time in the property yard, the police department, and City Hall, and the community center. So you'll be able to sign up to meet with them one-on-one at the benefits fair on Tuesday, May 5th. And then you can actually meet with a benefits counselor in person on May 6th. You can also do a virtual call with a benefits counselor anytime during open enrollment, or visit the website pierceinsurance.com/fallschurchva. And that's for your voluntary benefits like short-term disability and accident insurance, pet insurance, and more voluntary benefits options. So again, any changes you want to make to your health plan, open enrollment is the time. That's adding or removing members, changing your health insurance plan. So switching from Kaiser to Anthem or switching to a different Anthem plan, this is the time to do that without having to submit any supporting documentation. One thing to note is that the health insurance premiums, the amount that comes out of your paycheck, is not changing for Kaiser members. So that amount is going to stay flat. The Anthem rates for premiums are going up this next plan year. So you'll see those deductions go up if you stay with Anthem in June for July. So I hope you all come out to the benefits fair on May 5th. Sign up for a Pierce Benefits Counselor meeting on Wednesday, May 6th. And if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to Human Resources and pay attention to those emails from Chris Velakis for more details.
Megan, we have one question in the chat so far. How much is the Anthem insurance going up?
Thank you for that question. And of course, I don't have the exact number. I think it's 12 or 13% the Anthem rate is going up. So a reminder that the employees pay about 20% of that premium and the city pays about 80% of that premium. So that increase is affecting both employees and the city employer contributions to the premium. That the reason for the increase is the market, and our experience also. So the claims that were made on our plans last year affect the cost of the plans in the following year. Prescription costs were pretty high last year, which impacted the rate that we see in this coming year.
Thank you for that, Megan. And if you do know this, we have another question on that same theme. What was the increase on Anthem last year, if you happen to recall?
I know it was less than 10%. I want to say it was about 7%. So it's a bigger increase this year than we've seen in a little while.
Thank you. Thank you for that. What other questions do we have for Megan while she's on?
I do see one from Melissa. Are there changes to the benefits provided? So there are going to be some changes to the prescription coverage with Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield plans. There are no changes with anything that's covered with Kaiser, but with the prescription costs being so much higher last plan year, like the amount that the insurance company paid for prescriptions, they did have to make some adjustments to how they cover prescriptions this coming plan year so as not to have an even larger increase in premiums. One big change is that GLP-1s will still be covered for diabetes treatments, but they will not be covered for strictly weight loss. There's also a change in the way that the insurance company pays for different tiers of drugs with the prescription coverage. If you have a tier 1 or 2 drug, there's still going to be a copay. So those are your lower cost prescriptions, your generics, antibiotics, those things that don't cost a lot of money. There's going to be a copay associated with that, just like last year. But if you have a more premium drug, a higher cost drug, that'll be subject to the deductible before you have a copay for the prescription. So you'll have to pay a little more out of pocket for more expensive drugs. And the reason Anthem did that is in an effort to make the premium impact not as high as it could have been based on the prescription experience from last year.
Thank you so much for that answer, Megan. We do have one more question here. Do you know why there was an increase this year, or do you feel like you've answered that when talking about prescriptions, et cetera? But what was the overall catalyst?
So a lot of it was due to our experience, the claims made last year. So because there was a high amount of claims paid out by Anthem, the cost of coverage this coming year is going to be higher. So I hope that does answer your question.
Interesting. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Do we have any further questions from Megan? You mentioned pet insurance. We have pet insurance?
We do, and it's through the voluntary benefits with Pierce Insurance. The Pierce Insurance Group offers several ancillary benefits. Pet insurance is just one of the options. It's going to be through a group called Rainwalk this year. So it was through Pet Partners. They're switching companies to Rainwalk this year, and that'll provide some financial assistance for your vet bills if you have a dog or a cat that you want to purchase the coverage for.
Thank you for that. That's very exciting. I've been wanting to get pet insurance myself, so I appreciate someone
Yeah.
else bringing it up.
So of course, I recommend you talk to a Pierce benefits counselor about what type of pet insurance plan would be good for you.
Fantastic. Thank you. All right. We are going to keep moving. Megan, if there are more questions about this, can you stay on at the end to keep
Of
answering
course.
questions? Thank you.
Happy to.
Thank you very much. All right. Next, y'all, we're moving into our big project updates. And I think this is a big project update. This is outcome of mission, vision, values. And we have two amazing team members joining us today, Maria Rojas and Jack Trainer, who represent a much larger group that have been working on this for so long. And so I love to hand off to that team and can't wait to hear this presentation from them. Take it away.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you so much, Mary Catherine. Yes, as Mary Catherine said, my name is Maria Rojas, and I was the chair of the Mission, Vision, Value Implementation Group, and Jack Trainer was the vice chair of the work group. And yes, we do represent a much larger group that worked for the past 6 months on the implementation of the mission, vision, values. First, we did want to start with what's on your screen. So for those of us that worked in for the city back in 2004, so that actually wasn't myself, through facilitated conversations as well as the employee survey that went out, it was discovered that one of the things that employees really wanted was to feel connected through mission, vision, and a value. High functioning organizations have those so that they can have a unified purpose as well as a unified culture. It also helps in decision making, and it also helps to drive employee engagement. So we know that back, I believe in April of 2025, we all met Columbia Baptist. We all worked together and it was brainstorming. And then there was a smaller work group that was formed called the Mission Vision Action Team. And what they did was they actually put together what you see on your screen. So they worked on the mission, the vision, and the values for the organization. And out of that, there became another need for the implementation of that. So the purpose of our group is to make how we serve, how we align, how we make daily decisions, and how we work together actually come alive. So how we make words into action. So as I mentioned, over the past several months, 9 volunteer employees worked together to come up with recommendations that have those values to be practical, everyday, and actions that can be taken across the organization. And so today we're going to walk through a high-level overview of those recommendations and what came out of those efforts. We started with 57 ideas. Some were recommendations. We looked at what they recommended, other past work groups, surveys to develop what you will be presented with today. So now I'll turn it over to Jack Trainer, and he will begin going over our top priority recommendations for the organization.
Thanks, Maria. Hi, everyone. So the next couple slides, Maria and I are going to share, and I'll kick it off, just going through the final list of recommendations that our work group came up with in coordination with all of you. And thanks to everyone that came to the meetings that we held, getting feedback on where our group was at the time with the draft recommendations. And for anyone that filled out the surveys, that all fed into, what this final product is. So just want to say that at the top. And so the priority recommendations, we ended up with 5. Can I count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5 recommendations and a 6th kind of cross-cutting principle, which we'll cover. But so the top priority recommendations are those that we heard from all of you and had discussion on as our group about what was, again, just the highest priorities for all of you. And so just going down the list here, the first one is an organizational literacy program for understanding how city government works. And not just city government, but it could also help individual employees understand their how their individual work fits in the larger organization. And so you're not just feeling perhaps that your work doesn't matter, understanding, you know, the important piece that everyone is doing to contribute to the organization and the city. The next one is performance evaluations, including GROW conversations. This is another one that we heard often come up in our feedback sessions about improving and standardizing the evaluation process for managers specifically, but for everybody also in that group. The next one is department purpose and mission alignment, or you know, connecting departmental responsibilities with the city's mission, vision, values, making sure that those are clear for every department. And the next one is create and operationalize a customer service philosophy. This is straightforward, but establishing shared expectations for serving residents and coworkers and creating that kind of unified sense that we're all pulling on the same rope together, and having those shared expectations for each other and for ourselves. And then the last priority recommendation was on-site employee engagement. And this is one that actually came about throughout the work of getting feedback on the original draft recommendations, where the MVV group kind of split up and we went to separate different city facilities across the city. And just that act alone, we heard a lot of positive feedback on that we realized that this should be a recommendation in and of itself. So whenever there's a new policy being considered that would affect the whole city, the recommendation is that there would be engagement happening at each of those city facilities instead of just having a remote or kind of traditional employment engagement method. And then the last one is what we called a cross-cutting principle. It's kind of a standalone recommendation, separate from any other affiliation, and that's accountability and follow-through. And that's recognizing that that's going to be a huge piece in the successful implementation of what this group came up with, is having that accountability piece and having that communication and kind of daylighting to the organization on progress made on each of these recommendations, because without it, then there's well with it, you know, that's excuse, I'm sorry. I'm still a little sleepy today, I guess. But so we just realized that the accountability and follow through coming from the top on the implementation of all of these things will be critical to the success of this document.
Yeah, with accountability, trust, and follow through, it allows communication, accountability, and trust. Also, with that particular recommendation, it pulls on different employees to be a part of that work group for accountability. It also, with the group, we recommended that there'll be different variations of how that accountability shows up. So digitally, so that would be internal through mechanisms like SharePoint and or written. And so that would be something that collaboration with communications team. Also, there's a one-pager and emails that went out by Jenny Carroll, who was one of our champions, kind of summarize our recommendations that many of you call a book, because it was 67 pages, a labor of love for all of us that we worked on. So that was the top priority recommendations. We also have additional recommendations, and those we won't go too deeply into simply because of time. And those can be found on the next slide. And those show a broad range of how the organization works together and still implementing recommendations. So Jack, if you want to continue with that.
Sure. Yeah. So these are, the additional recommendations, and they largely provide that kind of reinforcement piece. Things like, the developing a standardized onboarding process for new employees, introducing them to the MVV culture of the city, creating an MVV navigation and inclusivity integration tool that can help with kind of everyday decision making. And then the next couple are aligning Employee of the Year recognition criteria with mission, vision, values, and then having even beyond that kind of recognition of mission, vision, values in action more regularly, like at town halls. And then lastly, a tri-grant initiative, which would kind of give employees resources to innovate and try ideas that are aligned with the city's mission, vision, values.
So overall, what we wanted to do with all these recommendations is to make sure that our mission, vision, and values show up in practical ways, that accountability can be shown throughout the organization, and that we're all taking an active part in implementing what matters most is how we treat and serve one another. Also, just a couple shout outs. First to Danny, Amy, and the Fun Bunch for Bagels and Bananas. That was out of the Fun Bunch and Danny and Amy wanting to show how we can do service through a fun activity and showing up and supporting the mission, vision, and values in action. Also to one of our other champions, Joe Carter, who was with us throughout the process, who helped also help us refine the 10 recommendations. And now you'll see on the screen a list of all the members of the work group who worked on for the last 6 months. So if you could turn your cameras on now, we have Daria Hafisi, we have Cindy Mester, Stacy Pilson, Veronica Prince, Caitlin Sobsey, Joshua Supernaut, Marshall Webster, as I said, Jack Trainer, and myself. We did this because we really want to help influence the culture of the city. And we hope that through these recommendations that are already being implemented, like the customer service philosophy that the seat is already taken on and will be starting, that this will show up not just now, but in years to come. So thank you all for listening to us in the presentation, and we hope that the mission, vision, and values we can show up and serve the community and each other each and every day.
Thank you so much, Maria. We've got one last slide on this, and then I'd really love for folks to raise hands and ask questions.
So thank you again. This last slide is mine and Joe's if Joe's on. So thank you again to the group. Really appreciate everything that they've done. Sorry, I'm pulling up. I'm looking off because I'm pulling up another email that I can look at. So really appreciate everything that the group has done, and so grateful for all the employees who have participated in this process, and looking forward to having more employees join us on our journey as an organization. So this is kind of a slide to let us know what is coming up, what has already happened. So leadership has received the presentation, and all of the groups, so city manager direct reports, the constitutional officers, the council appointees have all received this presentation, and they all received one of the books that Maria mentioned. So there should be a hard copy of each of these in each department. Oh, Mary Catherine has graciously thrown one up on the screen. So if you want a hard copy version, and there goes Maria with her copy. So if you prefer a hard copy, one should be in your department. And Maria might also have some extras. There were some extras. I'm not sure if there are any more left. And also this, the report has gone out as a PDF. I think Maria mentioned that it will go out again, I think with the employee town hall follow-up. So what will happen moving from this point? So we have two bodies of work that are related to employees. So we have the mission, vision, values, recommendations, and we also have the 2026 employee survey. So those two things, while employee related, and there will probably be some crossover points where topics intersect, those will be on two separate tracks. So when it comes to the mission, vision, values, the recommendations that were provided, if you haven't looked through I'm going to keep calling it a book. I call it a playbook, but if you haven't looked through that, it outlines everything very nicely, concisely, and gives us a plan to move forward. So that's what we're going to do. A couple of things that have already started, the on-site employee engagement has already started. Mary Catherine took the lead in that with the employee survey and took that presentation out to different departments that are not in City Hall. So thank you, Mary Catherine, for leading the way. We will follow that up with the budget adoption, which will happen. Budget adoption actually happens May 11th. So May 12th, we are planning to go out to a couple different locations for Wyatt to provide information about the budget adoption. We will also be setting up the accountability and follow-through team. And in the next month or so, the Social Equity Action Team has taken on the creation and I'm not going to be able to say that word. Putting the customer service philosophy into action. So they will get started on that. Joe is taking the lead on that and has already started those wheels in motion. So SEAT will provide the basis for that team. And then he is asking for volunteers from other departments. He's sent that email out to departments to ask for volunteers, those who particularly have a customer service focus or an outward facing service desk. So that is being worked on as well. When it comes to the 2026 employee survey, leadership is going to work on having some consensus on what the focus should be based on the data that we received through the employee survey. And then facilitated discussions might be a result of that. And also taking a look at how the employee survey intersects with the mission, vision, values, recommendations. And I think we're a little bit over, Mary Catherine. So if there are any questions, and it looks like there was one question from Lonnie who says, just out of curiosity, who's responsible for keeping this playbook alive? And I think my answer would be everyone. Everybody is responsible for keeping this playbook alive. And there will also be the accountability and follow-through team that will take that playbook and and follow each of the recommendations, and then look to have regular reporting out to the organization. So I hope that answers the question.
That was great.
And if there are any other questions or comments or suggestions?
Maria's got her hand raised.
It was an accident. I was trying to give a thumbs up to Jenny.
I always get those mixed up. I did also see Tracy's hand go up during the presentation. I don't know if that was real or an accident.
Sorry, I was trying to get to the reaction to and did that.
That's great. That's great. Okay. All right. Well, if you all can stay along the MVV team afterwards, I do want us to keep moving in our agenda, but we should be able to create space at the end. Is that all right, Maria, Jack, everybody? Great. Okay. So next we're going to turn to events, and I am going to ask Holly to come forward and tell us about what's going on with VA 250. Holly. Holly might not be with us. But what I can say is that there's some amazing events going on and continue to go on. Last weekend, there were two fantastic events. There was a film um, show at Paragon, and the Little City Concerts had a concert that was about VA 250. And so every month there is more and more content that's coming forward, and the FCCTV team continues to produce a documentary a month highlighting what VA 250 means for us. All right, I am now going to hand to Corey, who I do think I saw on here, to tell us about upcoming events. Corey.
Well, hello, everyone. First off, our favorite, Memorial Day on the horizon, Monday, May 25th. I'll start by saying our marshals were announced. We have 3 former teachers who will share the honor this year. They all worked with our Falls Church City School system. We have Nan Hoff, Shay Wakely, and Mary Jo West, selected for their service, their commitment, their care for their students. Nan and Shay were kindergarten teachers, co-teachers for a very long time. I have all 3 of them. Their combined service was like 79 years, so they have been serving until they, as they deserve, retired last year. And Mary Jo West was the band instructor at Meridian High School. All wonderful, wonderful folks will be honored in the parade. They'll step off the parade Monday, May 25th, 2 p.m. You'll see them. But that's the Grand Marshal. We'll go ahead and go to the next slide. Just a little summary. Memorial Day. As we all know, Monday, May 25th, we're still looking for employee volunteers. If you assist for at least 2 hours, anytime between the wonderful hours of 5:30 a.m. and 6 p.m., I will make sure you are fed, watered, you get a t-shirt. With your supervisor's permission, you can earn comp time and flex your schedule. So if you're interested, please email me and I'll make sure we get you all squared away. It's a lot of fun. You can be at the parade. I'll give you something fun to do. Just gonna plant that seed there for Memorial Day. The 250 theme, Civic Jam is coming on Friday, July 3rd. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have live music, a beer garden, local restaurants, as well as a charcuterie board of non-profit organizations on site with different fun things to do. We'll have interactives. It's going to be kind of like a mix of summer barbecue, like and civic engagement. You can't miss it. It's in civic engagement. It's on there. So far, we have a little bit of city representation. Would love to have more departments represented. We have urban forestry, library, rec and parks representing strong. Would love to have a couple other departments, not just be on site, help with the event. You could represent your department, an organization you're passionate about, or you could compete, because we're going to be rolling out something new called the Civic Cup, which is the kind of backyard fun, kind of like the Olympics, backyard Olympic style. You're competing for the Civic Cup. We're going to have like a water balloon toss, different games, a little volleyball, might be a mechanical bowl. No promises, don't know yet, but there'll be good things. But if you're interested in any of these things, please let me know. Send me an email if you have any thoughts, fears, threats, questions. Happy to help. That's all I got.
Thank you so much, Corey. Appreciate it. And that call for volunteers stays open. Charles has a hand raised. Charles.
Hi, Charles.
Hi, I'd just like to add to the events. Arbor Day is this weekend, Saturday, 25th at 11:30 in Cherry Hill Park. So if you want to come join that, please do. The weather is looking a little rainy, so we'll have to see what happens, but I just want to plug that event as well. Thanks.
That's fantastic. And Charles, is there 250 trees being planted for Arbor Day? Is that correct?
That's the goal. It may not be all planted that day, but we will be planting 250 trees for the 250.
That's amazing. Cindy's added to the chat some really great content about the chalkboard that is in the lobby. I love all of these additions to what is going on. I do feel like we are always throwing amazing events. A couple of reminders of upcoming things just for city employees. Employee of the Year celebration is next Monday. Public Service Week is coming up the first week of May. Look forward to hearing how you can be part of that. Employee Bowling Adventure. I love that the word adventure has been added to this. Thank you, Fun Bunch. And on Thursday, May 7th. And then our next Employee Town Hall is Tuesday, May 19th. I want to call one last speaker forward before we close out, Megan DeSalle, to just give us a little highlight of what we can expect next Monday. Megan.
Thank you so much, Mary Catherine. And real quick, I do want to make sure that everyone got the invitation to attend our receptions for the Employee of the Year recognition, recognizing Deputy Building Official Dilraj Sidhu. Dilraj, the nomination for his 2025 Employee of the Year was glowing from the CPEDS department. And we're going to make sure it's special for him next Monday. There's a 2 p.m. Reception in the Dogwood Conference Room where there will be light refreshments and cake. And then there's a public reception right before the City Council recognition in the evening that'll be catered by the Falls. So all are welcome. Please, I encourage you to attend. Bring the family out in the evening if you feel like it to recognize Dilraj and support him in this prestigious award.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Megan. I know I enjoyed the celebration last year. I'm looking forward to this year and celebrating Dilraj. At this point, I'm going to conclude our presentations and ask if anyone does have questions that pertained to any of the content that you saw today, to please stay on and ask those questions, our presenters if they'll stay on. But otherwise, if you have no further queries, I wish you a wonderful Tuesday and thank you very much for joining our April 2026 Employee Town Hall. Yay!
Thank you.
Any questions? Okay, I don't see any raised hands. I don't see anything new in the chat. Thank you all so much for joining. Appreciate it. We'll be sending materials out after. With this, I'm going to close our April 2026 Town Hall. Thank you all so much.
Have a great